So far, the crew has cleared every hurdle naysayers have placed in their way. Columbus would be home to one of the 10 inaugural teams. Columbus has outperformed much larger cities. The true success indicator has been from the fans.
Hello, and welcome to the club. I'm your host, Mars, and this is the Upper 90 Club, a roundtable podcast where crew fans discuss the Columbus Crew. Man, we're a couple guys down tonight. Ben is sick. Ben's whole family is sick. I sent him a new microphone this last week, and he's accusing me of lacing it with Norovirus.
Tip of the toilet seat, Ben.
Just so real quick, we got Mort and Hawes in the club with me. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So Ben's out. I'm told by my a scientist that I know that Norovirus is a stable virus and could stay alive on surfaces. So if I sent you something,
my apologies.
I apologize. Trey's at Disney, so he's looking for Norovirus.
I was about to say that.
The search for Norovirus.
And that's one of the new rides there. And I think he brought his gear with him, but
something's not working out.
Yeah, I think it's related to
what could it be? A hotel room and 3 kids?
Yeah. I don't know if I could figure it out either. Okay, so it's a skeleton crew tonight. Do you say Merry Crewsmas? Happy Crewsmas?
Merry.
It's Crewsmas, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
It was Crewsmas.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
This is the funny thing, by the way, on Apple. The day before the game, Tom Bogert went out and said, like, it's going to be Crewsmas. And they gave him a hard time. It's like, yeah, you were allowed to use that for the MLS Cup. You can't use that anymore. And it's like, no, this is actually the Crewsmas, which is like a funny thing. They gave him a hard time about using that term. And they said, no, that was for MLS Cup. You don't get to use that. So just a note on that. But Merry Crewsmas.
Well, and he's hip to the colloquialism.
Yep.
Where those stiffs at Apple
The other people
have no idea. Well, and speaking of which, yeah, I was able to tune in and listen to Chris Doran, and I had to break at one point, maybe during half. I came back and forgot to switch it back, and I knew something was off in the second half, and was like, it's these guys. And I was like, I got them back on. But you guys were both at the game, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We had.
And we have to do maybe he probably would have inserted it already, but the tip of the hat interruption from Ben. Feel free to just drop that in wherever, Ben. Tip of the hat this week to Hawes, who, and I don't know if we posted it yet. If we haven't, I'm sure we will.
It's already out there.
Hawes, it is. Okay, great. Hawes wore this huge shirt that we gave him for being bad at guessing scores last year. And on the front, I saw it says "Live, love, queso."
Live, laugh,
right?
queso.
Yeah.
So did anybody but me harass you about that, or?
I was getting a lot of looks, just like, what is this green Kool-Aid man doing?
More than normal
at the tailgate.
Does the back say Precord or anything?
It has a picture of Precord in a clown wig,
and it's a snake on it.
Okay. So people are just thinking that you're that you're telling a bad joke.
I don't even know if people have noticed any of the actual details of the shirt.
Everyone's thinking about you. Everyone's looking at you.
It was just a weirdo in a giant green shirt.
It looked really big, I would say.
Over top of my ski coat.
It was like he had all 10 cameras on him, right?
Yeah. The camera adds 10 pounds to the 10 cameras. This makes all that time you spent on the recumbent bike not so worth it. But anyway, so shout out to Hawes for being a dude and wearing the shirt of shame to Crewsmas of all high holidays. So, tell me about the atmosphere. I mean, was it MLS Cup 2.0? Was it more pensive? What was the feel?
What do you want to say? I mean, it was a good atmosphere. A lot of people were happy. I spent a lot of time catching up with people that sits around with me that, obviously on MLS Cup, a lot of us were spread out. So we had time to before getting to our seats early. We got in there at 12:30, like an hour and a half before kickoff. And I know you went to the new pub, I should say, Condado.
Condado.
Yeah.
Adam Hernandez, art director. Place looked great in there.
Yeah, good job.
And where is that?
It took over the pub.
So it's right in the entry there.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. And they were giving out hats.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any? Or
I got one.
Was it like too limited supply? You got
Yeah.
I think there was enough for most people. If you tried to get one later in the game, they were out of them.
Yes. So it might be because some people have 2 people at the game, but they have 4 people in their family, for example. Then, you might take twice as many as you really need. Sorry, Trey.
But atmosphere-wise, it was not like MLS Cup. It was not that great. It was also cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was in the 50s Friday, 50s today, and Saturday the high was like 31. And at least it was sunny when we were there.
When it was windy, it was actually really cold. And as having kids, we had a lot of kids with us, me and my buddy Jesse. They were really cold and miserable, and then usually much louder than they were where you can hear their teeth more than you can hear their yelling. But there was also a little bit of nervousness, I think.
Yeah. Waiting to see how we're gonna do, and we'll talk about that. Maybe it wasn't just the fans that felt that way.
Yeah, and leading up to the game, right? I guess you were getting to that probably.
Yeah.
But
they did the rings, right?
Yes. And
so were you all there for that?
Yes. They brought both teams out, did like the announcement, and then it's like you saw them ushering Miami back to the locker room.
Miami or Atlanta.
Oh my God, Atlanta back to the locker room. The Miami game is
They had Miami out there because they just want to show them off at any opportunity.
currently on the second Miami
There's a camera.
game this week.
Get Miami out here.
I don't know. The ring celebration was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of lackluster or whatever. Cool for the players and their families. It was whatever. It was fine. It's a good thing to do, right before the team that you took out of the playoffs and just kind of like shove it in their face a little more.
I will say this. I saw the pictures of the ring and the details on it and stuff like that, and it's pretty sweet looking. I got to say that.
I could never pull a ring like that off. There's a lot of bling on the ring. I'm entertained by. So we have these bracelets that we made a bunch of Impossibles and Opinion bracelet, and this phrase has become this
Movement
kind
almost,
of battle cry. Yeah. But it made the ring. Did you see that? It's the phrase that. So I don't know if this was. I mean, what that makes me think is that this turn of phrase or whatever was probably more frequently used than just in the post game MLS Cup interview, where this is something that he was, hammering into these guys' heads. Because I don't know, it would surprise me if just that single moment was enough to etch it onto 150 rings or however many they gave out there.
I just don't have that swag or the risk. Isn't that the word we're looking for to pull off a ring like that? Either way, but
or
the success for that matter.
Yeah, right. You also have to win. No, I think you could buy them. Couldn't you just buy one? I bet Jostens would sell you one.
I don't know.
A replica.
I don't have the top hat and the cane to wear with that ring.
Well, they had a replica back in was it 2020? Was it 08? They had the replica ring. I can't remember. But I own one of the replica rings from was one of those season ticket gifts that one year. So I wish that was this year's ring. So who knows? Maybe if anybody's listening.
All right, and then there was more fanfare. What we had all hoped for in the Cup final. Josh Williams was the match igniter, right?
So the crowd gets going there, but. I would say a lot of the whole thing with the crowd, I think everybody kind of got off on this weird foot, if that's the way to put it, because there was no rhythm. There was no normal rhythm to the intro to the game. And we talked about the, obviously the ring ceremony, but the other thing was, that whole Weissman kind of piano lady singing on a piano with foam spraying in her face or whatever it was. It was kind of, she was extremely talented.
She sounded great.
She sounded
Yes.
unbelievable. She was
not the right vibe for the situation, she sounded great.
And it seemed like it was totally uncoordinated. Like it looked like almost Nordic. It was like they didn't know that this was going to happen. Nobody knew, are we going to start singing with her? And then it turned into like a half-ass effort of Weissman. And I remember looking over Jesse, it's like, we felt ripped off because we were hoping like after the ring ceremony and like all of that we can have a proper, or like before that, I guess, a proper Weissman when you walked in. But it was taken away from us. That's what I felt.
Well, it felt like there's a bunch of TV shows right now doing like these indie female singer covers of songs, like in the middle of an episode where, it's a song that they're covering.
Prove it. Give me an example.
I want to say the newest True Detective has it a few different times throughout it. But like that's how that felt to me. Like some weird cover of Wise Men, so slow.
Yeah.
Like not even able to sing along with it, chant along with it, because you had no idea what direction it was going in.
And slightly off tone, like a different, like note selection.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they sang it minor, but the song's major. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
So,
all right. Well, before we say anything else, I do want to just interject and say that I watched that new season of True Detective. They lean way too heavy on the spooks, man.
I loved it.
Spooks.
I loved it.
It's like it's like horror.
It was only 6 episodes. That's what killed me. I wanted more.
should I sign up for a month
it was
of
just
HBO again to see it, or
no?
It was the best season of True Detective since season 1.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna regret that. Well, since that's not saying anything. I mean,
well, it's like season 4 or whatever. 5.
I mean, I
However
love
many.
Vince Vaughn. That
we're way off
second
track,
season
by the
was. It doesn't. I just had to say it because I've been complaining about these spooks.
Oh, I really liked it.
Like-
I really liked it.
Well, yeah. I mean, go watch like Scream or something, but like, or The Ring. They were just totally like low rent.
So how about that TIFO though?
Speaking of the rings, yeah, let's get back to the TIFO. The TIFO, yeah, they had like 3 huge banners, right?
So it was like
It
was
looks
3
great.
times what we had for MLS Cup. Like the three big paints, and the first one said "Impossible is an opinion," of course.
Yeah.
And the second one was the Glory to Columbus. They had like the 3 stars on the top and all the trophies with the newest one in the front.
Yeah.
And the last one said, "Let's run it back," which is like a cocky statement, but yeah, let's do it.
I saw someone post pictures of them working on all those banners or on all those panels, and it's crazy how. I mean, I've also heard them talk about it elsewhere, but like just a portion of that thing fills the entire room that they're in working on it, and they're just on top of it, painting it, tracing it out, painting it. Huge props. Looked great.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. It was spectacular. So if we can get the t-shirts now, then we will all be happy.
I see you're wearing the MLS Cup one.
Yep. Of course.
And that's awesome. Where is that?
That's
Is that
supporter
a-
supply.
Sup?
I've got the same one. Yeah.
The original black and gold.
Man, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, so nice that my wife asked for the same one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get one.
Use that discount code.
Yep.
Yeah,
Upper
we'll hear
90
from Morgan
boys.
later, I'm sure. Yeah.
Could be something new for season 3.
who
Who
knows?
knows?
Yeah, we had Morgan on here a couple weeks ago when we made bold predictions. We'll see how those shake out. Okay, so let's get into the game here, guys. Start with the lineups. Hawes, I'm glad that you're still well and present because I don't know what we'd do without you. What I know we had a couple changes in our what we would call Plan A lineup from late last season. Go through that.
So yeah, I think a lot of us just assumed since the whole starting lineup is back from MLS Cup, that would be the same lineup for this match, and that was not the fact or the case. Cucho started up top with Russell Rowe and Rossi in that front three. Then there was Yeboah, Morris, Nagbe, and Farsi. Amundsen, Camacho, Zawadzki, and Schulte. So the big surprises, I think, for most people was Russell Rowe getting a start over Matan, and Zawadzki getting a start over Moreira, because Moreira only joined the team on the 13th of February in Santa Barbara, so he missed most of preseason because he was playing AFCON, Africa Cup of Nations. So yeah, those were the big surprises.
Yeah. So, I want to talk for a few minutes about that. So the Russell Rowe, why was Matan? Did you say is he injured?
That's what there was talk of. Someone reported him working on the side during preseason camp as if he wasn't training with the full team, so working on an injury. But, I mean, he did sub on in the game, so he's healthy enough to play, just maybe not the full 90.
What do you guys think about that? Or I mean, if it wasn't Matan, would you ever start Ramirez? Would you put him there? I don't know. I guess I was surprised to see Russell Rowe start the game.
Well, we've seen it before. I think it's not a like for like. Obviously, it did a little bit more of a typical forward than Russell Rowe, but he also have the skill in the passing, a little bit like Matan also have. He can't dribble like him, but he has more of that skill set, which is different than Ramirez. Is more of a poucher, more of a traditional number 9 in the way he plays. I think the natural replacement for him is Russell Rowe. I mean, you can also change. You can also, of course, put Cucho back on the left and put Ramirez on top in the middle, of course, as well.
Yeah.
But then you're changing a little bit of the structure that you've been playing with. That's the only thing then.
Alan, and Ramirez proved so powerful coming in late. So, maybe they're just looking for a sober start.
Well, getting into some of the game, I mean, I know people are going to be upset with some of the Russell Rowe shots, but I thought he played a great game. Like, we haven't had a good hold-up striker in a very long time, and I thought there were multiple points where he got the ball forward in an advanced position. He was able to keep possession, lay it off to someone, and then we were able to build and continue to hold possession after that. I feel like we haven't had a player like that in a long time that is capable of doing those things.
And per foot mob, he was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't talked about this yet, and you guys are, smarter than I am. I was pretty frustrated with him during that game. Like the Font Mob can score him highly, and he can
stats.
He can be a good contributor, but he couldn't find I haven't actually looked at the stats yet, but I don't even expect to see a high like shots on goal kind of thing where it was like, oh, why he just like wasn't hitting the frame.
No, he literally did hit the frame.
One of them,
I think he had 2 shots. One was wide, and one hit the post.
There was more than that.
And we'll get into that. The other thing I want to mention real quick is this is an extremely good Atlanta team too, and they line up almost identical to how they lined up when we played them in the playoff. The big difference is obviously Robinson has now gone to Cincinnati, and now they gotten Gregerson in his place, and I think they had another change in the back line on Williams coming
it was
in.
Both their first starts for the team.
So they had 2. Other than that, it was exactly the same team that played us in the playoffs. So this is a team that people have really high expectations to for this season. This is a big test from the get-go. So you want to keep that in mind.
And there were
a lot of Gregerson out there. He was active.
Yep. And there were questions as to whether or not Almada would start coming off of the Olympic qualifying for Argentina. And he did start. He looked good.
And also Guzan, your favorite. We know that, Marcy, this is your favorite. And some people were actually surprised that he started because they brought in another goalkeeper.
Surprised he's still alive. Yeah, I mean, it's an American treasure. I have love for
Yeah.
Guzan. He's good. He's good with me. I'd like to poke fun because he's old, and it's an easy score. From a joke standpoint, he's actually there were a couple games last year where I was like, God, how is he doing this? But anyway, okay, all right. So let's kind of talk through the game. So what'd you think? I mean, we got these guys out here, mostly the same kind of setup faces we saw 6-8 weeks ago or whatever. But how'd they look?
Looked a little rusty, not surprisingly, coming off of the just starting the season, but come a little rusty, a little unfocused. I mean, I bet the whole ceremony and all that stuff coming up and leading up to it obviously affects that. So that was the
Sure.
first thing I was thinking. It was some kind of the first pass that Nigby has was a missed pass. I mean, like that's a rarity. That's one for the collection, right? But I mean, they just played themselves in more and more in that first half, and the end of that half, and just in the summary, we're going to break it down a little bit. They looked really, really strong. So that's just.
I mean, the first 30 minutes, we were holding possession. Farsi was up and down that right wing,
Yes.
combining with Cucho,
Oh, yeah.
combining with Russell Rowe. I thought he looked really good in that first half.
Yeah, foreshadowing. But
And I mean, and the big switches, like we'd work that right side with Farsi on the break, and then we'd switch it big to Yaboa on the left-hand side. I thought we looked good for the first half. It was a little bit stressful at times. After the first 30 minutes, Atlanta got a little more hold of the ball for the final 15 of the first half. And we didn't quite have the possession we were seeing last year. I think we did for the first half, but overall, in the end of the game, I think we ended up 50-50 or pretty close to that.
I think Atlanta was a high possession team too, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to expect to see that skew down.
The possession was actually almost identical to what it was when we played them here, when we beat them 4-2 in that last game in that series of 3 last time. Kind of interesting. So they are higher. You don't see that very often, but that was the same as last time.
And then what you mentioned this, but I feel like at least 60-70% of our advancement was on the right side. You agree? I mean, it was just, I just felt like Farsi had the ball for a third of the game before he left.
And it started
he was
already
very active.
like 10 minutes in, if we want to start breaking a game down a little bit, as we kind of started playing. And we start dominating more and more. And like we said, we didn't have the highest possession, but we had a lot of possession with purpose. I would say that if that's a way to put it. And it was a pass out to Farsi that crossed it in to Russell Rowe, like on the ground, and he has all the time in the world to think about how it's going to hit the ball, and he just hit it. What was it, like 3 feet outside the post or something like that?
To the left, and that ball from Cucho to Farsi,
it's unbelievable.
him playing Farsi in was so good.
He split the defenders, on the between the left back and the center defender there, Williams. They split those two into Farsi that ran in there, and Farsi was, like you said, he was running up and down the field like he always we know he can do.
Yeah, and his service to Russell Rowe was perfect. Russell Rowe was in a great position.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just the shot was
it left-footed? I can't remember, but I mean, it feels like it could have been, just considering his position.
It would have been. Yeah.
I wonder if both the shots was left-footed. Yeah. Anyways, Farsi was also involved in that little strange episode where we had Guzan out of the box in minute 17 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an interesting one, because for me right away I was like, hold on, that's a red card. He blocked the shot and was outside. I think it was Farsi.
Yeah, they were saying that on the call.
Yes, it was.
So
18th minute.
Yeah, so for everybody in the stadium, we were adamant that was obviously a foul and he should probably had a red card. But from what I heard from the people watching the game and watching it again, I guess it was an offside situation right before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the initial ball played over the top to Farsi is where he was off, but the play continued. Guzan comes out, bumps into Farsi. The ball drops to Jason Russell-Rowe. He tries to kind of chip it over Guzan, who's outside the box, and
touches it with his hand.
He touches it with his hand. It seemed like maybe it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, it actually
watching
looked
it
like
again.
he was aware. I mean, with age comes wisdom, and he jumped, and it looked like he kind of tried to keep his arm down or away from where the ball was, but he still touched it with his hand. All right, and we scored, what was it, 27th 27th minute? Talk through that goal.
So I'm not going to go through the whole sequence because it is quite a sequence, but it really starts where Atlanta wins the ball off of a foul, which I don't understand the foul call, and then they're looking at it, and all of a sudden it cuts back in. Yeboah steals the ball and knocks it back to Morris, and from there we have possession. But the real portion of it, Zawadzki plays a big switch to the left side of the field to Yeboah. Yeboah plays Rossi in behind the Atlanta defense. Rossi crosses the ball low and across the box in front of Guzan. He attempts to dive and save it and gets just a touch on it with his hand. The ball continues across the box to a wide open Cucho. He runs onto it all alone, strikes it with his first touch with his right foot, kind of towards the middle of goal, past two defenders trying to help Guzan recover.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of players, the way that it's bouncing, you will see a lot of players like skyrocketing that or not getting that on frame. Just getting that ball on frame in itself is a great thing, and you put it right in the right spot. It wasn't that easy. People say, well, he's only like 6 yards out, but no, that's not an easy finish.
Literally the corner of the 6-yard box. But to take it with his first touch, I was worried about how it went like to the center of the goal as opposed to a side or away from a defender. He just kind of blasted it.
There was a lot of pace on that ball. And I think that's kind of how he beat those defenders that were flying in to try and help Guzan.
And this came in probably our strongest period of play in the whole game, like that mid to late part of the first half. We are
20 minutes to 30 minutes. I felt when they scored, I felt like it was completely inevitable. Every possession that we had where we were pushing up with possession into their final, fifth or whatever you call of the field. We just had so many numbers. Like I wasn't surprised at all to see Cucho or somebody else just ready to, mop that up after Guzan punched it wide, right? Like we just had people up there. We had 4 or 5 players like in the box just constantly. So it was no surprise to see somebody there ready to capitalize on that.
And I wasn't sure if it was a shot from Rossi or actually a pass.
I think it was
from being at the game.
It was a cross.
Rewatching it, it was a cross for sure. I mean,
I have to admit that I looked at the replay because I just ran an errand with a person to the restroom. Sounds really strange, but we had a lot of kids, so I got sat down in my seat and I just said, "Yay! I don't know what just happened, but let's celebrate." And I had to look at it after the fact. So I totally missed the goal. And so seems about right. It seems like I should go on more restroom breaks take the kids to the restroom because it seems like there's a goal every time.
Yeah, I wish you would have because this was the only goal this game.
But the next
the
next minute from this, we have the 36-minute chance with and we have a couple of opportunities. We have Russell-Rowe hitting the upright. We had a Kucha volley from Farsi that got blocked by Gregerson that was going in. And then, of course, at the 45 minutes, we have the through ball from Zawadzki. Beautiful ball, by the way, all the way through for Farsi, again, involved in almost everything good we did today in the first half. and then he get fouled and obviously goes down with the injury as well. So, and of course, after maybe the longest wait for a VAR decision, it was a strange.
Sounds like approximately 9 minutes.
Yeah, we do get the penalty. So,
yeah, and so we had the penalty, and this was, I don't know how many, but before Cucho took that shot, I was thinking, like, how many times has he taken a PK on Brad Guzan? It was like every game. It's like, and I think he's new, right? He's new. He took his first PK for the Crew in August or whatever, after we traded or sold or whatever you say, Lucas, right? I mean, Lucas was taking our PKs, and then all of a sudden it was Cucho, and then we, played Atlanta 4 times, and I think Cucho took a PK in every single one of those games. I don't think that's actually true, but there were a lot, right? And so I don't know. Part of me was not surprised that he finally stopped one.
Yeah,
you can only flip the coin so many times.
It wasn't a great one, but I not sure if I got the stat right. I think this was his 12th penalty for Columbus Crew, and he hadn't hit all the first 11.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
he hadn't
that's
missed
better
one
than
yet. Yeah.
I think that's a better like average than or on par with like a Messi. I mean, like, you miss a penalty here and there. That's just a part of it. That said, it was like goal. I call it the goalie height. It's like the perfect where they can just halfway to the post, kind of like.
And it wasn't to the side netting. It was more down the middle. It was off to the right.
And like I said, I mean, like, even if it was 3, I know it's at least 3 on Guzan. That's a quarter of his PKs is on the same guy.
It's true.
Yeah.
In whatever 4 months or something. So I don't know. It was a bummer. And then again, man, Jason Rusty Rowe, you said it, Mort. He was there. He could have cleaned that up, man. What was he doing?
I don't know. He got stuck underneath.
It was kind of chaos in the box after that.
Yeah, he kind of got. I think the ball got a little stuck underneath his feet, as I called it. It's like it got a little close to his legs. So and maybe he should have used his left foot. I'm not sure, but I mean, here's the thing: if that ball goes like an inch to the right, everybody's like, "Wow, what a shot! What a finish! Upper 90, right?" And instead, it bounces off the crossbar upper 90. So I mean, it's small. It's small. It's inches, right? In this game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Did we say that Arsene came on for Farsi?
No, he came on for Farsi. Yeah, and then Moreira, we mentioned earlier, came on later.
Yeah. 87th minute from
second half. I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, like, I think the biggest thing was Almada coming into the game more and more, and but we limited their opportunities to mostly shots from the outside of the box.
They didn't have their first corner till the 62nd minute of the match. I mean, and Schulte had a good save on a Almada shot in the 57th minute. And Giacomakis is just a pest. That dude, I mean, he's big.
He's score a lot of goals.
He wants the ball. He wants to score. I'd say a big difference from what I remember from Atlanta last year is that Miyamba didn't seem to have quite the impact on the game that he did last year in the playoffs. Where
he did impact, like literally impact. He didn't try to like stomp somebody.
Yellow card impact. Yeah. Yeah. And then we mentioned earlier that Matan did come in. He subbed in for Russell Rowe. He
looked good coming in too. And you talked about at a time. I don't think 9 minutes was for the first half, I believe, wasn't it? Or was it the second half? Either way, the clock.
It was the second. No, it was at the end of the game, and I thought that it was. I could just hear Ben like complaining about the goal that happened in stoppage time to save me from my.
You know what? I did
my bold prediction. I was expecting to see a goal. Frankly, we should have scored like 100 goals in this game. And
I called it too. Remember, I said I should have said 1-0. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know. But I said, man, if I knew you were
it was pretty immediate that you were like, oh.
Yeah, we'll talk more about 1-0 later. Any other final thoughts on this game?
Big win. I mean, this is one of the big teams in the East. They're gonna win a lot of games, and coming off from the start like that, and actually showing that they can hold off and like just have grind out and 1-0 win. Even though, if your prediction, we come back to that, was 3-0, that was probably a pretty good guess if certain people put the ball in the net.
Yeah.
I don't think the announcer said Arfston's name correctly a single time. He kept calling him Arkson and Artson.
Last season I called Arfston Amundsen one time, and you guys corrected me. I think it's an easy. I mean, you're talking about just saying the name wrong, but like I think that people just get this name mixed up because the two. I say all this to say that Doran even mixed them up at one point during the broadcast, but yeah, it was he had more minutes in this game than many if all the games last season, right? I mean, he's usually a later sub, so it was interesting to see him come on earlier.
Well, he was a forward last year, right? He came in more of a
last year for the most part.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about how in preseason he got his assignment and his discussion with Nancy about playing at wingback. I think when he came on, he started as the right wing back where Farsi was, and eventually when Moreira was subbed on, so almost the end of the game, they switched him over to the left, and Moreira was playing the right.
A quick thing though on Farsi, he walked off. So he walked past us and walked around, kind of waving to the crowd. He was limping. He was in pain. So it seems like an ankle sprain. So I will guess, who knows, 3-4 weeks, something like that, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Well, and it seemed like it wasn't from like direct contact or a cleat. It was just like the way he fell after he got bodied off the ball and rolled like 6 times.
Yeah, hopefully nothing more than that.
Hustling.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I will reinforce what you said. We needed a win. Great start. I think we got spoiled with all the goals last year, so it's easy to feel a little bit like we could do better, and I think we could, and I think we will. But glad to see him pull one out on Atlanta, and we'll look forward to seeing how we do in Minnesota. Hopefully it's not winter in Minnesota when we go up there. The weather's been kind of going back and forth, but that's what we have to look forward to this weekend. Now we're going to cut over to our segment, The Shootout with Chris DeVille. Glad to have Chris back, and we'll do a shorthanded version of that. Wish that Ben and Trey could be with us, but look forward to talking to Chris. So we'll be right back.
This episode of the Upper 90 Club is brought to you, as always, by Supporter Supply Company. Hi, friends, this is your good pal Morgan Hughes, here to talk to you about a serious issue facing 96% of all crew supporters in Columbus. Why, not enough free shipping, of course. For a limited time now, through the eventual heat death of the universe, Upper 90 Club listeners can use the promo code Upper90Boys. That's boys with a Z on the end of it, at checkout for free delivery on absolutely any order over $10. But Morgan, what if I order $10 worth of stickers, or those goddamned buttons, or some other combination of small items that make you want to kill yourself? Will the free shipping still apply then, even as you curse our family, while you package up our little tiny annoying ass order for us? Of course it will. That's just how much we here at Supporter Supply value our friends at the Upper 90 Club. So head on over to supportersupply.co and use the promo code Upper90Boys. That's boys with a Z at checkout for free shipping on all your orders over $10. And don't forget to tell them that your friends at the Upper 90 Club sent ya.
All right, we're back. I'm excited to announce Season 3's first installment of The Shootout with Chris DeVille.
Let's do it.
Chris was with us a few times last season. The Shootout is a like a penalty shootout, a series of 5 crew trivia questions that Chris DeVille has prepared for us. Chris was formerly crew writer for The Alive. We used to play music together, and is just generally our crew historian, a resident crew historian. So, Chris, welcome back to the club.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, and before we jump in,
Tip of the hat, Chris.
Typically Ben would just non sequitur interrupt with his tipping of the hat. But before we get started, I did want to talk about your new article that just came out a few days ago in Columbus Monthly.
That's right.
Profile on Wilfred Nancy, Impossible as an Opinion. I read it. It's great. Lauren, my wife's reaction was, why are we broadcasting how great our coach is to the this reads, coach for sale. But tell us about that. What was that like?
Yeah, it was I hung out with him in January. It was like right after he came back from kind of like the holiday break. I just kind of hung out during the photo shoot in the locker room and kind of the bowels of the stadium. And then we went to one of those clubs in the stadium, RIP to the Upper 90 Club.
Right.
One of those luxury spaces. I forget which one, and sat down at a table and just talked for well over an hour. And it was fantastic. Like, I was hopeful that he would give me a lot of good quotes and be really, open and gregarious. And he was. Like, it was everything that I hoped it would be. Like, I had read several other profiles of him done by like people at The Athletic and the MLS website and maybe ESPN. I don't remember. Some people have profiled him, so I had like some sense of what the kinds of things he says and what he's like. But I was pleased that I felt like we covered a lot of the stuff that other people have talked about in profiles, but we also got into some material that maybe other people didn't talk about. I was especially happy to get the story about how he met his wife.
Yeah.
Steve Zirk gave me a shout out on that one. Like, he said that he read that part of the story out loud to his wife because he was like, impressed that I had nabbed that anecdote.
Yeah.
Last time I got an anecdote that good out of somebody, Zirk also had it, which was about Bezbachenko, how he went to the first ever game at historic Crew Stadium on his prom night.
Priorities.
Prom fire before they went to prom because he couldn't miss the first game at Crew Stadium. And I was
that's awesome.
Such a good story. I can't believe I got it. And it's like, oh, Zirk also has it. But this time, I think I'm the only one who had it. So that was cool. And it was cool to, as I talked to Nagby and Camacho and Bez, it was like everybody, sometimes you interview a few different people and it's like, these stories aren't really lining up. Like, it seems like they're not really on the same page, but it was like, wow, they really are seeing things the same way. And it made me very excited about the future of the crew, honestly. Like, I know maybe it is broadcasting to the world, like, yeah, you guys should come snipe this coach. But I don't know. It feels like the crew knows what a good thing they have and they will work to protect it as long as they can.
Yeah. I was actually reassured in reading more about him and his family in that, when we've talked about it, I've heard other people talk about it, like, first chance to go to France and coach a Ligue 1 team, he's out the door kind of thing. But it sounded like I can't remember the exact timeline, but his mother was in New York
at one point,
say 15, 20 years ago. And his wife and all of her family is from Montreal. So like, I don't know. When you got kids at school age, at least for the next 10 years,
right. It's
there
like,
may be a little more friction to cross
how
the
eager
Atlantic,
is he going
right?
to be to move the kids? Yeah, for the next 10 years,
especially as with such like a philosophy guy that he is, right? Like,
right. And I mean, that was some of the best part of talking, was just hearing him like outline his philosophy and talk about how much he learns from his kids, and like it made me think about my own parenting, honestly. Like,
oh yeah, big time.
Like, especially when he was talking about letting them
in a big negative way,
figure things out for themselves. And it's like, wait, you're not supposed to be like, no, that's not how you do it. Let me just do it for you.
Yeah.
Well, and didn't he move around a bunch growing up as well? I feel like he's talked about that in some interviews.
He did, yeah. He lived in. I mean, his dad was in the Navy, so
right.
He lived, like, I forget exactly where, but like when I hadn't even heard of some of the places that they lived. I had to look it up, and it was like at least one was in the Caribbean, and there was one like off the coast of Africa, I want to say, and one was more like in the Indian Ocean. I don't remember that. I'm talking out of my ass a little bit on that, but like he was all over the place before, like, you know, they kind of settled into France full time, like when he was 11, I think. And he credits that for kind of shaping his perspective on the world, and kind of learning how to understand different types of people and how different people tick. And he talked about like he always knew he would go on more adventures. But it's like after playing in France for a decade, he lived in Montreal for like 17 years. So it's not like he's the kind of guy who's just like zipping around constantly, like taking a new job every 2 or 3 years. So I feel like the crew might be able to lock him down long term. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised to hear that the story's aligned. I mean, his enthusiasm and the culture that he has instilled in the team is infectious. I think I said last season that even as a fan, I feel like he's made me a better man. Like he's working on these guys on the team, but it's hard not to get swept up in it, and it doesn't hurt that they're winning so much. So so it's all good. All right. Well, so listeners, check that out. Columbus Monthly. It's called Impossible as an Opinion. Nancy's Unlikely Journey to the MLS Cup, and it's great. So good job on that, Chris. So without further ado, let's jump in. This is the shootout. Question 1. We have a short bench tonight. So I'm gonna play, which I typically just like to sit back and judge and make fun and not take any risk. But given our short staff, I'm gonna play as well. And the winner will get bragging rights till next time.
I think this year the plan is to also kind of track these a little bit more than we have done before, so we can actually have those bragging rights, right?
All right, so I'm going to write down here. Mort is going to track the results.
It's kind of my thing. And you just have to trust. You just have to trust me. How about that?
I do. Get your spreadsheet out, because I think last time I couldn't even remember who won the game we were playing, much less the
winner gets a signed article from the Nancy piece by Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know if I can get it signed by.
No, you print it out and you just sign it.
Signed by you.
Yeah, signed by you. You're the artist. You're the artist behind the article.
It's in an actual magazine, like.
Oh, it is? They still make magazines?
I go online.
We have access to magazine technology in 2024.
It's the cover story.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, grab me a copy.
Get a copy, sign it, and send it out.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some questions, eh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So most of these questions are oriented around Minnesota United and the Crew because of the upcoming trip to Minnesota.
Yes.
This coming weekend. So, let's kick it off with question number 1. Minnesota knocked Columbus out of Leagues Cup last year, and the final score before penalties was 3-3. Which Crew player did not score out of these 4 names? Malte Amundsen, Alex Matan. C is Christian Ramirez. And D is Cucho Hernandez. That's A, Malty Amundsen. B, Alex Matan. C, Christian Ramirez. And D, Cucho Hernandez. Which one did not score in regulation during the League's Cup?
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm
you guys
loaded.
ready?
Ready.
Okay, go.
All right, we're entering our answers. All right. We got a C from Mars, a C from Mort, and a D from Haas. Haas is the only correct answer. Cucho did not score in that game.
What an odd collection of goal scorers.
Yeah. All right, so Haas gets 1 point for
Yeah.
that.
I feel like, Matan had a couple nice goals later in the season last year. Maybe only 2 all season. I'd have to look into that. But was that the one where he hit the top net?
I didn't go back and watch the goals. I just looked at the box score, so I don't remember.
All right, he had a good one late in the season last year.
Okay, so this next question is actually strictly a Minnesota question. Minnesota entered MLS in which season? A, 2016, B, 2017, C, 2018, D, 2019.
Okay.
That's which season was the first MLS season for Minnesota United? A, 2016, B, 2017, C, 2018, D, 2019.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. You guys ready? Go.
All right. Haas coming through with a B, 2017. Mort with a C. And Mars also with a C. Once again, Haas is the only one who's
Haas is like,
oh no.
There's something going on here. I don't.
All right. Haas is out to a 2-0 lead.
Is there table talk going on?
Question.
The hand signals.
Well, you'd know if I was typing or doing something because it all filters through my mic.
Yeah, that's right. And Haas is just so classically bad at. Well, no, you're bad at predicting things, but maybe you're really good at remembering.
I don't know about that.
It's all retrospective knowledge. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Question number 3: which Crew player has logged the most minutes for Minnesota out of these 4? A, Ethan Finley. B, Will Trapp. C, Aaron Schoenfeld. And D, Kevin Molino. Which of these Crew players during their tenure with Minnesota has logged the most minutes for Minnesota? A, Ethan Finley. B, Will Trapp. C, Aaron Schoenfeld. And D, Kevin Molino.
I didn't even remember that Schoenfeld went to Minnesota.
Oh,
No comment.
I'm ready.
Considering his minutes here.
All right, here comes. Are you guys ready to
It was like a
answer?
connecting
let's do it.
flight that he had, but
I'm ready.
go.
All right, Mort says B, Will Trapp. Mars says A, Ethan Finley. And Haas says D, Kevin Molino. The answer is Will Trapp, B.
Oh,
Mort
all right.
comes through.
Love it.
this is why I don't play. Why would I subject myself to this?
I mean,
I was
wasn't
stunned.
it Captain?
Trapp has actually outpaced. So Finley is the second on this list. I thought for sure Molino would be, just because I wasn't paying that close of attention to Molino until, because he's the only one of these who played for the Crew after Minnesota. So Trapp has 7,000 plus minutes for Minnesota. Finley only logged 5,000 plus. Molino was just under 5,000 at like 4,800. And yeah, Schoenfeld only played there for one season, logged 391 minutes.
Seems about right.
So, yeah, there may be other players who've played for both teams, but those are the first 4 who I thought of. So those are the questions.
Well, I guessed Finley because I think he came over in their first season.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know that that's the case for Trapp. I think he was in. Was he in Miami?
He travels a little bit.
He went to Orlando.
Yeah.
He went to Orlando and he went to Minnesota in 21, and he's just been like a mainstay.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
He's still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he logged some of those minutes in 2024.
Wow.
And Finley, of course, is now with the team from Austin, Texas.
Never heard of him.
Right.
But yeah, I would have expected it to be Finley just because when he went there, it was like a homecoming and stuff.
Right.
Like,
Right.
hometown boy. Okay, so speaking of Ethan Finley,
This is question 4.
This is question number 4. There's only 3 answers for this one. Okay. Ethan Finley had his highest scoring season with A, Columbus Crew, B, Minnesota United, or C, Austin FC.
Man, I just know I'm going to get this wrong.
The answers are A, Columbus Crew, B, Minnesota United, or C, Austin FC. Which of those teams was Finley playing for when he had his highest scoring season?
I'm good.
Ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
He was like an assist guy, though. More for us, I feel like.
The answer,
yeah, he was. Him and who was he playing to? Kai Kamara?
Hawes and Mars both are correct. It was Columbus.
Come on.
He had one good season.
He had 10 goals, I think, didn't he?
The meat hook
I think
season.
he had like 12. I looked it up earlier today. I for some reason, the only stats I wrote down on this document were the minutes.
Yeah, like double, I think, like 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he never produced quite like that. I don't think he hit double-digit goals in any of his seasons in Minnesota.
I should have known that.
There was a weird season where he and Miram were just scoring constantly. I think it was the same season, like 11 or 12.
No, I think it was 2015 when they
when
they went to MLS Cup,
and the Cup never happened.
Some say. I have questions about that.
Right.
Okay, number 5. Go for it.
Okay, so this last one is not pertaining to Minnesota. This is one of those where I like to torture the people who have only paid attention to the Crew for 10, 15, 20 years, not 96ers. I'm going to name 4 players. Which one did not play for the 1996 Columbus Crew?
Just an effort to humiliate us.
Yeah. I moved here 10 years after that. So big again.
Are you familiar with the pastime remembering some guys? That's just for
I have been reading some Steve Sirk, so maybe I recognize some names.
Yeah.
This is like my friend Tommy Boone, my oldest friend. He's like the biggest Crew fan I know. He lives in LA, but he keeps extensive spreadsheets on like the all-time Crew stats updated after every game.
Wow.
And I was like, do you share these with anyone? He's like, no, they're just for my personal edification.
It's a Saturday night for me, man.
So yeah,
just stay up and update my spreadsheet.
With Tommy, this is the remembering some guys that we do. It's like, the guys who played for the Crew in the 90s. Okay, so here are the 4 names. A, Janusz Mihalik. B, Obi Monome. C, Paul Keegan. And D, Brandon Ward. One of those names did not play for the 1996 Columbus Crew. But A, Janusz Mihalik. B, Obi Monome. C, Paul Keegan. And D, Brandon Ward.
I did hear a keyboard, by the way.
It was my keyboard.
Was it your keyboard?
Yeah, it was
okay. I'm just like,
and so
Chris feeding Hawes the answer.
So 3 of the 4 played for the Crew in '96.
And 3 of them definitely did, right?
And the other one that did not, did he play in the MLS? Did he
the other one is an MLS player who did not play for the 1996 Columbus
but played in '96.
Yes.
Did that player play for the Crew in '97?
I don't think so.
I'm just gonna throw a dart here.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Question. Sorry.
I like it.
You guys
all right? You guys ready?
Answer.
Let's go.
Go. Oh, we have a nice variety of answers here.
Hawes is right. He has the dart.
Oh,
Paul Keegan played for the New England Revolution.
Come
man.
Mahalik,
You cleaned up.
This is like
So Janusz Mahalik is like a soccer commentator now.
I know, but I never know he they played for the Crew. He never mentions it.
He's an original Crew player. Obi Moname was like, they signed him mid-season. He was like playing just like a guy around town who was playing. Like, I think he also played for the Columbus like indoor soccer team. I think they were the Columbus Invaders. They played at Tell Hall at the Columbus Convention Center.
Janusz does like these bits for ESPN still. Like he does a lot of these little commentary things, and no, I never seen anything in his background or anything indicated he played for the Crew. So
yeah, and then Brandon Ward, I think, was like also a local guy. I want to say he was like Westerville South or something. I might be off on that, but anyway, they you can check the documentation.
Oh, that's cool.
They were there.
This isn't just on one of your friends' spreadsheets, right?
Yeah, this is from the Tommy Boone archives.
All right, there's contracts to back this up. Okay.
Kicked
all right. Hey, so did you go to the game yesterday?
Me, I was driving back. I watched.
That's right.
I watched the game on my phone in the passenger seat while my wife was driving her dad's pickup truck that we borrowed. So I was just sitting there on my ancient iPhone 8 watching.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a collector's item.
Yeah, it's pretty old. The app works. I was able to see the action. It was very tense.
Yep.
It was way too tense for like, I mean, they should have been up by like 5 goals in the first half if Jason could score.
Oh yeah.
But the second half, I felt like the stakes are really not that high, but it felt like it was like, oh man, if this collapses, even after talking to Nancy, it's like, well, if they don't win, the expected goals were so much higher than the other teams. And it's like, they were obviously executing, like they were playing great. And so I'm sure that he would consider it a good game, even if they collapsed at the end. But like, I felt like they got to come out here and, make a statement.
That's what drove me crazy about watching that game after reading your article. I was like, he's not mad at any of these guys. Like, this is where I'm questioning myself. Like, it was, I'm glad we won. And there were moments of frustration. Those two things can be true.
It was, man, I will say when Morera came in, I felt like he made a huge difference. And I'm excited for him to be back in the starting lineup. I assume he was not starting just because he was not there for the preseason. But like, man, I felt like he just came in and was a jolt.
Yeah.
He looked good.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Chris, for making time for us. What else you got going on? Anything to plug, or want to shout out your socials before we let you go here?
I'm on X, formerly Twitter, at Chris DeVille, and I saw Upper 90 Club's on Blue Sky now. I remember when I was hipping you to Blue Sky. ChrisDeVille.bsky.social on there. I do have I had to start an Instagram account. I had basically deactivated it, but I have imposters on Instagram trying to get people to write, like pay them. They're like, I'll write an article about your band on Stereo Gum. You just have to pay me $100.
Oh, wow.
So they like got
send me $200 and then I will refund you the $100. And then I will write you your article about your band.
So
your band, which I will now call Nigerian Prince. And
yeah, so I guess I have I need to actually post on my Instagram account. But yeah, as far as plugging, I don't know. I just I wrote, besides the Columbus Monthly article, I just wrote about Beck on Stereo Gum this past week. I wrote it before I went on vacation about his album Morning Phase, turning 10, the one that won Grammy for Album of the Year and upset all the Beyonce fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. What am I writing coming up? I don't even know what I have coming up in terms of Stereo Gum writing. I'm coming back from vacation, so it's like, but yeah, find my Wilfred Nancy cover story from Columbus Monthly. Go to stereogum.com and read I guess, my Beck article and click on my name and read everything else.
Sounds good.
There you go.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll catch up with you here in a month or so, and have some more representation so I can sit back and judge the poor answers rather than give them myself. Great to see you.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Great seeing all you guys. See you soon.
Hello, Adam Hernandez here, fellow crew fan and Columbus-based artist, muralist, and designer. When I'm not making art, I'm looking at art. And when I'm looking at art, I want it to come to life. That's why I made my new augmented reality prints. What's an augmented reality print, you may ask? Well, I make my really cool psychedelic art come to life in the palm of your hand. Check out my website, ahernandezart.com, or at ahernandezart to learn more. They're really rad. ahernandezart.
All right, we're back. Thanks again, Chris.
Thanks,
for
Chris.
joining us. We want to want to jump into a couple listener questions, and then we'll get into predictions here. Some of it I guess most of it we covered. That there were some questions about Russell Rowe starting. I think we've aired our grievances there enough. But the big question that we want to answer now is how we feel about the team with the potential loss of Farsi for some, hopefully, short amount of time, few weeks. What do you guys think?
So my thought is Will Sands is back.
Yep.
I didn't notice it until we started talking about this question that he wasn't on the bench for this game. But nonetheless, he's back and he's cleared to play. Hinestroza, they've talked about him playing that similar position, as well as, like we just talked about, Arfston filling in at that position. So while I love Farsi and he had a fantastic game and I think made a huge difference in that game for us, I think we can survive if he has to miss a couple weeks.
Was he the man of the match?
Cucho.
Yeah, he was the man of official.
Well,
yeah,
Cucho
official
scored,
man of
but
the match.
like, what about you guys? Who would you give it to Cucho?
No, in the first half, when as far as he was on, I thought he was creating a ton. So I wouldn't been against him being the man of the match for the period it was in, for sure. Man of the first half. How about that?
Well, and Yeboah, I thought Yeboah had some great moments as well. He didn't have the ball as much as Farsi, but he was just staying open on that left side while Farsi was pulling all the defenders towards him.
We do need more from Rossi.
Typically, we talk about, it's interesting that we highlight these two players on the outside. We so often say that this team is built from the inside, from Nagbe and Morris. Do you think that's still true in this game?
Yes.
Or was it played differently?
I think they had like a quote quiet game, but it's also because they played a very solid game. And I think actually Morris was playing it like I think the reason why Amada was so quiet, especially in the first half, was due to their efforts. And I think as we wore down a little bit, that's why he got more and more into the game later. But yeah, the combination of those two. And I think Morris was probably the sharper one in this game, actually.
They each had a couple giveaways that weren't like them. But they're also like the escape plan. We bomb up the wing, knock it around, try to get it around the defenders, and then it's like, oh, find the guy in the middle that's open. They all swing it to the other side of the field. So I mean, heavily involved in the game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks for the questions. Of course, submit questions. We typically send something out like on Sundays or Mondays when we're going to record, so we can talk through anything that we've missed that doesn't come up in our normal conversation. But who submitted that one, Haas?
That was from the Designated Players podcast.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, so let's get into our predictions. All right, let's talk about D's next
I don't know. I thought
you got to think about that.
I'm already sweating.
Man, I don't even know. Buckle up, Buttercup.
My tongue is sweating.
I'm not good at doing things.
You're dumb.
Okay, so we each have 1 point in the table, and let's just jump in and do our predictions for this week. I know I have one from Ben. We'll start there. And I don't have one yet from Trey, but I just asked him, so we'll see if we get one. Otherwise, we'll put it on later. Ben says, we want to do this live. Right?
You will have the benefit, but we shouldn't have the benefit. And speaking of this game, this is actually the 6th time we are playing Minnesota, and they have had a chance to knock us out, I think, in two times. So they did knock us out. They knocked us out of the Leagues Cup. And in 2020, the playoff.
MLS is back.
The MLS is back playoff.
I remember
there was a penalty shootout on that one.
They won 2-1 over Austin.
Yep.
This last week. Austin.
So we liked them because of that in a little bit. It's a team that have been very, very hit or miss like last year. The example was in October where they have a lot of ties, but they beat LA Galaxy 5-2, and the next week they lost to LAFC 5-1. So it's not easy to predict this team, but they have a nice stadium. Allianz Field is a very nice stadium, so I give them that. So.
Hey, so are you guys ready? I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
On.
Okay. So Mort's reacting to the fact that we guessed the same thing. I'll do Ben's first. Ben says 2-1 Crew. He says we're going to make a road win statement. I will say, and then I see Tracy just chimed in 2-1 Crew. So he and Ben have the same. I will tell you that I'll start with mine because I said 2-2 Crew, which we know is this, or 2-2 Crew tie. God, what's with me, man? I keep thinking that these ties are wins. Yeah. The sociopath. So 2-2 Crew tie. It's a Crew tie. More we know said the same. Haas, I almost put 1-0. But after I spent so much time spinning in the infinite wheel of 1-0 data analytics for the last 3 hours, I was like, no, it won't happen twice in a row. So I changed it. I actually typed 1-0 and I took it out. 2-2. My guess was informed by our propensity to tie this team and go to a shootout. So were you thinking the same thing?
No, it was more the fact that there's always been a winner, technically. I don't know regulation, but that and the fact that I think we were going to play them a tie. The only problem I had was I thought we were going to score at least 2 goals. So I think we're going to get some of the goals, and that's where I struggled a little bit with like, maybe 2-1, but I'm really feeling this tie, so 2-2.
Well, and they have a new coach, don't they? I don't know who that is, but I'm pretty sure they just got a new coach right before the season or somewhat recently.
And I live by this, and we said it last year and everything too. If you win at home and you get results on the road, you're on your good way on doing something good for that season.
Oh yeah,
right.
Most teams are just trying to win at home. You know, and come what may on the road, right? So, okay, and then Haas said 1-0. You think they're
this us now? Is this like Italian soccer from 1990 where you just write out 1-0 wins?
Yeah. Call it the Nancy bus.
Yeah, you're just going to start parking the
bus. Nancy bus.
Oh, look at that.
We'll see. I tried to end the show earlier. Hopefully Ben cut that out. So with that, Trey is in Orlando. We know that he loves Orlando, so I hope he's doing great down there. Sorry he wasn't on tonight. Ben, I hope your family's doing better. I swear if I did send you some kind of stomach eating virus, it was not intentional. And big thanks to Chris DeVille for jumping on. Check out his article in Columbus Monthly, cover article, his profile on Nancy, and look forward to seeing how we do up in Minnesota this weekend. So until then, I will see you guys next week. Go Crew.
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew!
And that's all we got. Go Crew.
We didn't do
our predictions yet.
I'm done. No, I'm not predicting.